will say, yeah, this team could be the Super Bowl if blank happens, or this blank team, it's situational. If Joe Burrow stays healthy and gets protection from an okay offensive line, the Bengals could get to the Super Bowl. If Keon Coleman, the young wide receiver for the Bills, the rookie, and their new offensive lineman gel by like mid-October, Buffalo could make a run if everything lines up. It's very circumstantial. And it's not with the Kansas City Chiefs. They've become like a Hollywood status. Is DiCaprio in it? Is Scorsese directing it? Yeah, it'll be good. Go back to last year. It's kind of terrifying. The Chiefs were a bad football team after Thanksgiving. Like weeks 11 through 14. They were 1-3, only beat the Raiders. And in the 3 losses, averaged 17 a game. They were bad. And in fact, later in Christmas, lost to the Raiders. They could not get their offense figured out. Rashee Rice was an emerging player, bit immature, we later discovered, but they didn't have a good receiving core. And Travis Kelce was getting older and looked older. It was basically Andy Reid, Mahomes, and Chris Jones. We loved those guys, and Spags is a great defensive coordinator, and they had good corners. But it is a little terrifying to think they were not a good football team, and I'm not talking September, the experimental part. I'm talking after Thanksgiving. 1-3, weeks 11 through 14, lost to the Raiders on Christmas, and they've really become, it's the Hollywood thing. Is Andy Reid still coaching? Is Mahomes still quarterbacking? Chris Jones, did he sign? Yeah, they'll be in the Super Bowl. And, the fact they have won it, sans Tyreek Hill, sans even a solid receiving core, as the AFC has gotten better, is scary. And nobody's ever won 3 straight. I'd love to bet against them. But it's like betting against Brady. Do it at your own peril. Here's Mahomes this week talking about all the inconsistencies from last year.
It's time to get better. Every season starts different. You got to come out of that same mentality you had the year before, even a higher intensity. And even though we won the Super Bowl last year, we felt like we didn't play our best football, especially offensively. It wasn't fun. I mean, every single week having to try to just continue to get better and better and results not paying off the way you wanted to. It wasn't a lot of fun. We have a lot of those same guys back, and they know how that felt. And so we're going to try to prepare ourselves better this year so that we can play better throughout the season and obviously try to end with the same result.
Yeah. You forget last year, and again, this isn't early, it's post-Thanksgiving. That was a bit of a choppy mess. It was not good. And then it was interesting, Kelce, who looked old throughout the course of the year, was fantastic in the playoffs. It was very much Gronk and Edelman. Edelman's best games were postseason games. Gronk's biggest factors were in postseason games. When you think it's week 7, talked about best teams in baseball. Like the Red Sox were top of the offseason. Their ownership group now cares more, I think, about maybe English Premier League soccer. The Red Sox are surprisingly good this year, but it is amazing to watch. Generally, organizations that have money have it forever. Georgia football, Ohio State football, Michigan football, Kentucky basketball, Carolina basketball, even collegiately. If you got money forever. And in pro sports, it's like the Niners have always had money. The Cowboys have always had money. The Eagles have always had money. The Lakers and the Celtics. It's amazing. The Red Sox were like, for about a 15-year period, it just felt like Yankees, Red Sox, and maybe the Braves. Like they were just rolling. And they just don't feel like that.
Aren't you excited that the Patriots and the Red Sox, 2 teams that have been awesome for 2 decades, now stink and are unwatchable?
Well, Boston, I think the Red Sox are... the Celtics are still great in Boston.
Celtics are great.
Red Sox are, I think, better than a lot of people, but they just couldn't afford Mookie Betts. Yeah. That's not the case 10 years ago.
But the Celtics are likable. Jason Tatum, Jalen Brown, people like these guys. Usually people don't like Boston, right? Patriots, they were insufferable for a while because they dominated. Yeah. There's no redeeming qualities on the Patriots now, are there? Like, name one good thing about that organization.
Well, the Celtics are very collaborative. So I find the Celtics to be very likable. It's a collaborative group. Yeah. Their star sometimes doesn't grasp it, but that's not in terms of likability. I think this is as likable. They're not chippy. They're fun offensively. They're a fluid team. They're collaborative. They share. The coach seems like he's all in.
Holiday, White, everybody seems like good guys.
Yeah.
Like they're not despicable. Like 80s Celtics They had some goons on those teams. You know that, battling the Lakers.
Well, they were a chippy, physical team that, they were like the Pistons, but more skilled offensively. But they had a Pistons feel, but they had Bird.
Yeah.
They had more offensive polish.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, we had Eric Musselman on the show yesterday. Now, he's coached in the NBA, head coach, couple of teams, assistant. Now he's USC's coach, Arkansas, Nevada. Really knows. He's been international, G League coach of the year. He really, really knows his stuff. And we were talking to him. One of the questions I asked him about is I said, international players are taking over the league. And I can remember when Tony Kukoc came to the Bulls, everybody was like, even Jordan and Pippen tested him. It's like they're soft. European players are soft. Well, that's not the case anymore. They're physical, they're more polished, they're more mature, they're more ready to be productive right out of the chute. I mean, Wemby last year is putting up all-star level numbers. Luka right out of the chute. Giannis now. And I asked Eric Musselman about kind of that switch from American dominance at the top of the NBA, food chain to international dominance.
I remember the draft with Dirk Nowitzki. I was in Orlando at the time, and 3 weeks before the draft, we did not know who Dirk was. That's how far scouting and everything has come, too. That wasn't that long ago, but now the coaching overseas, absolutely phenomenal. Some of the best coaches in the world are not coaching in the United States. And for so many years, great American coaches went over there, coached, did clinics, taught the game the way that the Americans played. Now the coaching, we're stealing ideas and schemes from them. It's amazing. Even NBA teams, there's a lot of NBA teams. Hey, let's go get so-and-so to be an assistant coach because he's so creative, offensive-minded, and he's been coaching in Italy or Spain or Serbia or wherever.
Yeah, it's really a flip. I think some of it is the AAU system is a money grab. And sometimes our democracy, American capitalism becomes crapitalism, where money takes precedent over everything. And that's what AAU basketball feels like. It's the coaches, it's the players, it's the system, it's the league. They're all just money grabs. And it is absolutely hurting our system. If you look at right now in the NBA, the three best players in the NBA are Jokic, Luka, and Giannis. And then the next two impending stars are Wemby from France and Ant Edwards. Now, there's other obviously great players, but top of the food chain, I think Wemby will be better than Ant over time. I think he's going to have a chance to be a top 5 player of all time. So the 4 best players could absolutely be international players. Now, our country produces more overall players. We also have 340 million people. But I mean, listen, there's other international guys like an SGA from Canada who is a scoring machine. Now, there's Jalen Brunson and Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. We're not denying there's great American players, but our players who are dominant are getting older. Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Steph Curry. They're aging quickly. So it's the reality of what's happening. It is interesting, though. It's like these cultural shifts, is that our money creates great opportunities in America, but there's an argument that it's sort of broken the AAU system where it's a money grab. And these international players come in, they are absolutely more focused and skilled and polished, and in some instances, they're more mature. Ja Morant and Zion Williamson, just not mature enough. Just maturity, not talent, maturity, lack of focus. They were going to be our 2 big domestic stars going forward. Neither is. And it had nothing to do with their lack of talent. The international players come to the country over here and they feel like visitors. They're very loyal. They're very focused. I heard a story from somebody who is around Wemby, and it's like he sleeps and plays basketball. He has no interest in nightlife, no interest in going out. It is about nutrition, sleep, rest, hoops, rinse, and repeat. And our domestic players, that's not how they roll. So it doesn't make the NBA worse. I love the international players. People always say Jokic is boring. I love his game. I covered Arvydas Sabonis in Portland. I loved watching him play. When you got a big 7-foot guy doing behind-the-back passes, he was the best passer on that Blazers team. And they had Pippen and Damon Stoudemire and Rasheed Wallace and Bonzi Wells and Steve Smith. And Arvydas Sabonis was the best passer on the team. So this is kind of terrifying. Do we remember last year